point A to point B, data transformations, stuff. Oh, you okay there, man? The garlic gotcha.
Welcome back, everybody. This is going to be kind of a unique video for my stream. I'm trying something new this time. So if you know me, you know that I'm kind of a big fan of the show Hot Ones, and I've been trying to figure out how to incorporate that into some sort of series. So we're going to try something new here today. And if you like it, you know the drill. Like, subscribe, let us know in the comments that this is good. And if we get a good response, maybe we'll do some more of these. So here's how this is going to work. We don't have a name for this yet. Mark, if you have any ideas for a good name for this, you let me know.
Ooh,
yeah. I got my friend Mark Tinderholt here. He's an Azure guy. I'm an AWS guy. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to have a quiz game. The way that it's going to work is that we're going to ask each other questions. And these questions are specific about AWS that I'm going to ask him, and he's going to ask me specific Azure questions. He's not an AWS guy. I haven't touched Azure in like 6 years. So these should be tough questions, but there's going to be kind of 3 difficulty layers. They're going to be easy questions, medium questions, and hard questions. The easy questions, if you get right, are worth 1 point. The hard questions or the medium questions are worth 2 points, and the hard questions are worth 3 points. Now, here's the trick. If you get a question wrong, you have to eat something with some hot sauce on it. I have chosen my favorite blue corn chips, Totino's blue corn chips. They're my favorite. Mark, what do you have?
I got these scoops.
Scoops, yeah. Perfect. So we'll eat some hot sauce, and that should hopefully make it more difficult to answer questions as time goes on, but we'll see. So before we get into the game, I'd like to introduce you to Mr. Azure Terraformer himself. He has written books. He's got YouTube channels. If you want to write Terraform code that works with Azure, he is the guy to go to, Mr. Mark Tinderholt. Thank you for joining me today.
Thanks. Nice to be here. Nice to be here, Matt. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Why don't you introduce yourself to everybody? Because, again, people who follow me and watch this YouTube channel, they're probably mostly AWS people. They probably don't know much about Azure. So tell us a little bit about yourself and your history and how you got into it all.
Yeah, no problem. So I actually, so right now I work for Microsoft. I have to tell people that, especially on social media, that's part of the gig. But before Microsoft, I was in consulting for many, many years and in cloud for a long time. And so I've worked with pretty much every cloud that my customer wanted to work with, which included Azure as well as AWS as well as GCP. So in that sense, I have worked with AWS a bit. So it has been a while because I've been at Microsoft for nearly 3 years now. So I'm a bit rusty on the AWS. So I just wanted a full disclosure that, but my book Mastering Terraform does cover AWS with equal coverage for Azure and GCP. So trying to be an equal opportunity cloud, supporter there. But I'm a big fan of multi-cloud. So, I recognize, working with enterprise customers all the time, like every enterprise is at least in 2 clouds, right? So that's kind of my, like the way I view the world. Of course, my favorite cloud is Azure, but they're all great platforms. So,
well, excellent. So is that a actual background behind you, or is that a virtual background? Because that looks amazing. Where are you at right now?
Yeah, that is actually my background. I'm down here in Destin, Florida, at my place on the beach, and so we come down here during the winter times, and it's a good time. So.
Fantastic. So, yeah. Okay, so let's get right into it. Again, we'll start off with easy questions. We'll go back and forth. I'll ask you a question about AWS. You can then ask me a question about Azure.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so Mark, what did you pick for your hot sauces?
Well, I like spicy food, but I'm not too into hot. So I went a little bit tame here, but I got this one looked pretty good. It's called Fat Cat. What is this? Chairman Mao's Revenge. Oh, okay. No, Chairman Meow's Revenge.
so is that your mild one? Is that the mildest of the 3?
I actually don't know. I hope so. Like, okay. We'll see. Actually, this one sounds like it might be the hotter one. It says it's called Seeing Double. So like we'll do that, and then I got fermented kimchi, which I actually think maybe fermented kimchi is like the easier, the like not so spicy one. But
Yeah, I would imagine that might be on the easier side. Well,
yeah, so maybe I'll do fermented kimchi for uh easy Chairman Meows, and then seeing double.
okay, perfect. Chairman Meows, I love it. I gotta find me that sauce. So for mine, I don't have the bottles in front of me, at least two of them. I have a basic sriracha for my mild one. For my medium sauce, I went with a habanero. And then for the hot one, the spiciest, it's this unique garlic.
Ooh,
This is actually from the people who do hot ones from smokeanded.co. I think it showed up on one of their bundles. The hottest thing I've ever had. For those of you who are watching, you can go back and watch my Lambda video. The video where I ate a hot sauce and talked about Lambda functions. This was the stuff. And so, if anyone has seen that video before, you're going to see me probably get lit up pretty good here on these things. So, it should be a lot of fun. Looking forward to it.
I'm gonna have to pick that up. I love garlic. One of my favorite restaurants in the Bay Area is called I think it's called the Stinky Rose. Is that
Oh,
the Stinky Rose? Because
oh, how nice.
garlic kind of looks like a rose, right?
Yeah, sure, sure. All right, let's go ahead and get into it.
All right.
All right, so we'll start off with your question about AWS, and this is an easy question number one. So, what does S3 stand for? Simply storing stuff, simple storage service, soggy server storage, or secure storage service?
I love the soggy server storage. That's a great that's a great one. Simply storing stuff is hilarious as well. But I think I'm gonna go with two. That's simple storage service, S3.
Yes, that is correct. The S3 is the simple storage service, so that is 1 point you get
Yeah.
on your side. Good job.
Lock
Good
it
job.
in.
Off to a good start. Okay.
All right, Matt, here's your question. Question number one. What does ARM stand for?
Okay. So let's see. Azure Random Magic. It does feel like that, probably. Always remember Mondays, Automated Ramen Maker, or Azure Resource Management. So I'm going to use my best test taking skills here. I'm pretty sure it's not the ramen maker. Random feels a little bit too inappropriate for Azure. And yeah, Monday is probably not. So I'm going to go with the number 4, Azure Resource Management.
That is correct. That is correct. Yeah.
All right, off to a good start. 1-1, and no hot sauce eaten so far.
Yeah, indeed.
All
Now,
right.
random isn't too bad of a guess because Azure is known as the most sophisticated random GUID generator on the planet. So,
Oh, interesting.
it wouldn't have been that too far off.
No, not too bad at all. Okay. So, question number 2 for you, Mark. The primary isolation boundary in AWS is 1, a resource group, 2, a subscription, 3, an organization, or 4, an account.
Okay. Well, I actually see some familiar friends on this slide.
I did that on purpose.
Yeah. So I know in AWS you had organizations at the top, and you can actually have an organization hierarchy, but you group resources within accounts. So I'm going to go with 4 accounts.
Yeah, very good. Very good. That is another point for Mark. I really thought this one might actually toss you up a little bit.
There we go.
I figured you wouldn't catch on the subscription or resource group. Those are definitely Azure terms, but I thought the organization might trip you up a little bit. So,
Yeah. But you know what? AWS does have a construct. I'm sure you know this. That has a construct of resource groups, but it's more of like a loose confederation of resources via tagging and other mechanisms.
Yep, definitely not an isolation boundary though.
Exactly. Yeah, totally. No RBAC, nothing around it. But all right, Matt, here's your next question. Which of the following is not an Azure automation tool officially supported by Microsoft? Number 1, Bicep.
Okay.
2, Terraform. Number 3, CloudFormation. And number 4, ARM templates.
Now, this is tricky. I would have really been thrown for a loop, but I happen to have just learned about Bicep this year. I still don't understand how they came up with the name. I know it's not CloudFormation. That's it. That's clearly AWS's automation tool. Um, but Terraform, I'm almost tempted to say Terraform because it says officially supported, but I could say Microsoft officially supporting Terraform. And obviously you do a lot of work for Terraform. So I'm going to go with C, CloudFormation.
That is correct. Yeah, CloudFormation. Yeah. And I did kind of throw you for a loop there because Terraform is the only third party supported automation tool for Azure. So,
That's pretty amazing that they'll actually support a third party like that.
yep.
That does not happen very often.
It does not. It does not.
Okay. Next question for you. This one is an easy true or false question. True or false? EC2 offers fully dedicated servers.
I feel like that's true.
That
Like,
is true.
okay,
That is
okay.
true.
Wow. I thought it might have been like a trick question, like, but I thought there was like you could, if you pay enough money, like you're gonna you're gonna give up a pound of flesh. But
Yeah, they're
like,
called the metal instance types. So you can go
yeah,
out there and get metals, bare metal instance
bare metal.
types, fully dedicated. No one else is sharing that instance with you. You are correct.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
All right. You got through all 3 questions of the easy round.
Yes. And my mouth is feeling, quite calm at the moment, which is nice. All right, for your third easy question, what is the Azure service used for hosting relational databases in the cloud? Is it A, Azure SQL Database, Azure B, Azure Blob Storage, C, Azure Functions, or D, Azure DevOps?
Well, this one's easy. I'm going to go with number 1, Azure SQL Database.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. And I'm assuming this is a SQL Server compliant database option.
It is. Yeah, it's a hosted version of it. There are more robust ones that have like backward feature compatibility, like SQL managed instances and things like that. But this is where you can run SQL Server basically in the lowest cost
All right.
way. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, we got through round number 1, the easy questions without anything. However, I know that I need to warm up my taste buds a little bit. So, as a celebratory step, I'm going to have a little bit of my mild sauce just to get myself ready for the hotter stuff.
Yeah, I'm gonna try the fermented kimchi. Hopefully, it's not too bad. There we go.
It's a good chip.
Oh my god!
All right.
Oh my god, man!
Yep, you're already turning a little red there.
Yeah, this is good. It's really good, actually. Like
right.
the fermented kimchi.
All right. So, are you ready for medium question number 1, or question number 4 overall?
Yeah.
All right. Which is not a managed message queue service in AWS? 1, Simple Queue Service, SQS. 2, Amazon MQ. Or 3, EventBridge.
Ooh, man, I think we're hitting the boundaries of my AWS knowledge, or like I'm just super dated. Don't know if Amazon actually has like an Amazon MQ offering. And EventBridge sounds super familiar too. Like maybe that's a thing. But SQS, like clearly that is a message queue service. So I'm crossing that one out. Man, I wish I had like what is that on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Like the 50-50.
50-50. Yep.
Yeah. Of course it would probably drop SQS. So
yeah. Oh, absolutely. Of course I'm gonna drop that one.
Man. I feel like Amazon MQ just seems like a little not out of the ordinary. It doesn't seem like something that that follows the naming pattern of AWS. They usually come up with kind of fun names. So EventBridge kind of sounds like it would be a thing. But man, like the Amazon MQ just harkens back to like the old IBM MQ days, and I don't know if they would go all the way. Like Amazon would just like kind of copy pasta the name. So I'm going to take a risk. I'm going to go with Amazon MQ as like it's not a service, because I just don't think that's like actually a service on Amazon.
All right. Final answer.
Final answer.
Okay. Amazon MQ is a service. It is a RabbitMQ managed service offering.
Then I'm screwed. I'm
Yep. It's EventBridge. So this is a little bit of this is a harder aimed question. So EventBridge is a service, but is not necessarily a message queue service. It is a message broker and an event bus.
Yep.
So it doesn't quite qualify into the message queue service, but it is. It is. And actually, I got the spelling a little wrong there. It should be EventBridge, one word, not two words. So that is your first miss. Please take a bite of a medium.
I'm going to do Chairman Meow's Revenge.
Chairman Meow's Revenge. Okay.
I knew I was kind of taking a little bit of a risk there because whoa, oh my gosh. I like filled the scoop all the way up, man. Like this is going to be
a good one.
Chairman Meow is getting his revenge. Okay.
Good luck.
Wow. It's it's pretty good.
All right.
Pretty good.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you're not choking yet.
Nope.
Okay.
Okay. Question 4.
Ooh, 6 answers. Okay. Let's do this.
Brain buster for you here.
Wow.
Let's see. Which Azure service is not designed for managing containerized applications? We got Azure Functions.
Okay.
Azure Kubernetes Service, Azure App Service, Azure Logic Apps, Azure Container Apps, and Azure Container Instances. Take your pick, my friend.
Oh, man. Okay. So I feel like Azure went the same way as AWS. They decided to give you 15 different ways of running containers.
Yep.
Now, okay. So gut check says Azure Functions only because I believe Azure Functions work similar to Lambda functions. And while Lambda functions can use containers as a packaging mechanism, they don't really run the container. It's not meant to run containers in the traditional sense of like Kubernetes or a Docker Compose type thing where it's just always up and running. So I'm leaning towards number 1. However, okay, AKS, very familiar with that. Not, I shouldn't say very familiar. I know that that's a way to run them. App Service, I vaguely remember you telling me before about App Service. Logic Apps, ooh, that could be a good one too. And then, of course, 5 and 6, Container Apps and Container Instances. Would Microsoft really create 2 competing services, one called apps and one called instances? Yeah, they could. They might. But whether or not, so which one is not designed? So that implies that these are all actual services.
That could be an interesting thought.
Ah.
I'm still coming down from Chairman Meows.
Okay, so okay. I have to go with my initial gut. This is just the years of test taking and certification testing and everything. I'm gonna go with my first gut response, which is number 1, Azure Functions.
That is incorrect, my friend. That is incorrect. Yeah, all of these, and it is a little bit of a word salad. So, there's, we might be arguing over semantics here, but technically all of these, except for one, has been designed to support container-based workloads in some way or fashion.
Is it Logic Apps?
It is Logic Apps.
Yeah, that was my
the only one that does not support it, because it's an it's an orchestration engine for sticking other services together. But you're right on the money. Like it was very tricky because many of these, like their primary function, no pun intended, is maybe not necessarily the traditional container sense,
Yeah.
But but Logic Apps is the only one that doesn't.
Okay. Well, here goes the habanero.
Ooh, habanero. good crunch on
Yeah. Okay.
that. Now, is it a mango habanero or?
It is. Yeah. So it's got a little bit of that sweetness to it to kind of cut through it a little bit, but when it gets to the back of your throat, when it hits those tonsil areas, it's just really lets you up good. Okay. Okay. Whew. Question number 5.
Ooh.
Which was AWS's first production service?
Oh man, this is one that I actually thought I knew the answer,
Mm.
and somebody corrected me, and they felt very strongly about what
Mhm.
the answer was.
I will see if I also feel very strongly. So Amazon S3,
Yeah,
Amazon SQS, Amazon EC2, or Amazon RDS.
yeah. And you chose your words very carefully. First production service.
That is
That's
correct.
also kind of throwing me a monkey wrench here. Oh gosh, because I can definitely kind of put the timeline on there. In terms of like the earliest ones, the rumor, I'm going back to like the rumor mill. Okay, the rumor was that because AWS was developed organically in house at Amazon to solve their own problems as running just a massively, scalable enterprise business like the bookstore, right? Retailer. But I thought the rumor that I heard was SQS was the first one that they actually like used, but it may have only been used internally. And then they were like, wow, this SQS thing is really cool. Let's just genericize it and do EC2. And then we can do that. And then it's like, well, we got to store stuff. And so now we got S3. And then it's like, oh, we need relational databases. So RDS. So that in my head, that's like the progression. And it makes sense to me. But like when you have the monkey wrench of first production service,
Mm.
that's where I'm like, I don't know. But then there's also people that I think I bumped into somebody and they were like, they felt extremely strong that it was not SQS and it was EC2 or S3. I can't remember which actually, which is really sad. But should I go with like this friendly, internet stranger that I met? Actually, I met him in person. Or should I go with my thought, the rumor mill that I heard?
I would go. I mean, I can't speak for you, but if it was
I know.
me, I would trust me more than some random rando on the internet.
Oh, now I hope you're not trying to lead the witness here, Matt.
I
That
mean, maybe,
that
maybe a little bit.
So I'm going to go with what I thought was the original. This is the rumor that I heard, which was SQS was the first service that's the thing. I don't know if it was their first production service, but I'm going to go with SQS. Final answer.
Okay, very close, but no.
Oh,
SQS was the first publicly in in beta preview. Effectively, was their first release service, but S3 actually made it to production first.
that's the wrinkle. That's the wrinkle.
That's the wrinkle. Yep.
Oh,
SQS was the first beta service they offered, but S3 made it into production first. It actually took, if I recall, quite a while for SQS to make it out of beta into production worthy service. So looks like another Chairman Meows is in the horizon for you.
in the hopper. Here we go. Let's get this thing.
You might just have to queue up a couple of those chips and at
Oh,
this rate. All right. Is it easier the second time?
Yeah, a little bit. I feel like I'm getting a little warmed up.
Yeah. Okay. Question number 5. Hit me.
All right. Azure Cosmos DB is a highly scalable NoSQL database service. Besides its native API, which of the following APIs is not supported? We got MySQL, we got PostgreSQL, we got MongoDB, we got Cassandra, we got Gremlin. Which is not supported by Cosmos DB?
Okay, so if you hadn't tossed the word "not" in there, I would have been real sure in this answer, because I'm like 99% sure it supports MongoDB, because that's like a pretty standard NoSQL. But if I have to pick one of these that it doesn't support, okay. if you're going to support Postgres, you might as well support MySQL and vice versa. Cassandra seems like a well-trodden enough service that it would make sense to support that as well. Plus, it's already NoSQL. I'm more surprised by the Postgres and MySQL both being on there. If only one of you, if you'd only put one of those on there, that would have been my sure bet. Trying to go from a SQL to a NoSQL. But I've never even heard of Apache Gremlin, so I got to go 5 Apache Gremlin.
And it is actually MySQL.
Is it? Well, good for them. I appreciate them ditching the worst of all common SQL systems out there.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate SQL in general, but MySQL is the one that I really, really dislike. And then nothing particularly against.
Yeah. So Gremlin, yeah, Cosmos has been adding APIs. The native API is kind of like it's kind of like Mongo. It's like Microsoft version of Mongo. So Mongo isn't too hard to add. But then Cassandra is a tabular, and then Gremlin is a graph database, which is
really
a little bit interesting. So
yeah, that's amazing. So is it when you spin up a Cosmo instance, when you say give me a Cosmo database, do you have to pick it at that time, or is it okay?
Yeah, and the kind of special sauce that the Cosmos database service does is it handles all the replication across regions and all that stuff. So it seems like it's been architected, in a way that it's kind of independent of like what it's actually, what the protocol, what the storage mechanism, and it's more about like, how do we get this thing to scale? How do we give you capacity?
That's awesome.
So it's pretty cool.
One
of my favorite services.
Yeah, I can see why for sure. Okay. Question number 6, the last of the medium difficulty questions. What is the maximum runtime of a Lambda function? Is it 1, 5 minutes, 2, 15 minutes, 3, 60 minutes, or as Katie Heron said in Mean Girls, there is no limit?
I'm going to go 15 minutes. Final answer.
Oh, you got it. Yep. 15 minutes. That's 2 points to you. You have now taken the lead here.
I dedicated a chapter in my book, Mastering Terraform, to automating Lambda functions with Terraform. So
okay. Well, I should have paid more attention and known that you would have gotten me there on that one.
It's a big design difference between Azure Functions and Lambda as well. Because Azure Functions has a premium service plan that allows you to do unlimited.
Really?
Well, not unlimited, but like I think maybe it increases it up
significantly.
Significantly, yeah.
How much is that premium? Is it a pay per usage like Lambda functions are, or is it like a monthly cost, or how much are you paying for that?
You're basically doing it's kind of interesting because it's a little bit of a mix of serverless and traditional compute, but you're basically like pre-warming capacity. Like you're ensuring that you've got kind of a rolling window of high performance capacity. So
gotcha.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a mixture of the models, but
okay. All right.
And here's your last medium question. Which Azure feature allows you to restrict access to resources? Is it Azure role-based access control, Azure policy, Azure Defender, or Entra ID integration?
Yeah, that's a tongue twister. Okay, so again, gut choice would say role-based access control. I seem to recall that a lot from 6 years ago. Policy certainly does seem like it could be involved. I don't think that Entra ID that's not quite Azure-y enough of a name to me to really be an option. And then Azure Defender, that feels more reactive than a proactive restriction. I'm going to go with number 1, role-based access control.
You are correct. You are absolutely correct.
All right. Good
deal. I thought I was going to get you with the Entra thing because that's our identity and access management service.
Is it? Oh, so it is. It does actually exist.
Yeah, it used to be called Azure AD. Now they called it Entra ID, right? So, and it's
why they change the name?
I don't. Yeah, brand. I guess brand what do you call it? Segmentation or something,
I suppose so. Okay. Well, at the end of the second round, the medium round, we are currently tied 5 points to 5 points. So we're going
No
into the
way.
final. Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Going into the final round. Now, anything can happen in this final round. We have the hardest questions available and we have the hottest sauce to eat. So let's hop right into it. So, question number 7, number hard. These were questions I tried to aim at. Like, I know some essays that may not be able to answer these questions without looking up some documentation. So we're going to be eating some hot sauce hopefully on these rounds.
Wow.
So SQS FIFO queue messages persist indefinitely. True or false?
Wow, that's tough. Persist indefinitely. I feel like they would. I'm gonna go with true.
True?
Mhm.
False. They do
Oh,
not persist indefinitely. Once a message gets put into a queue, you've only got a certain amount of time before it will get dumped from the queue. It's a pretty long amount of time. I believe it's 48 hours, or it might even be extendable past that. But it is unfortunately not indefinitely. There are very few things. If you need indefinite storage, S3 is probably the way to go. So,
good to know. Yeah.
yep, I believe
Well,
we got some hot sauce on the
yeah, I'm
horizon.
gonna be seeing double here. So
Seeing double. Okay. Yeah, SQS is one of those services I find really fascinating because it's an incredibly simple primitive in terms of, is it good? Is that got some kick to it?
yeah, it's definitely each one of these is very different.
Yeah.
This one almost oh yeah, it has more of a jalapeno vibe to it.
Okay.
Yeah, my nose is starting to run now. I might need to get a napkin.
Don't touch your eyes. So yeah, SQS is one of those tough ones. There's a lot of little things about SQS along the way that I find to be very interesting. So
Yeah.
All right. Next question, Azure.
Okay. What is the Azure service for real-time analytics and event ingestion?
Okay. So we got Azure Stream Analytics. That seems like a pretty obvious choice here. Event Hub feels like an Event Bridgey type thing, although you wouldn't really want to use Event Bridge for real-time analytics. So I would assume Event Hub, if they're parallel services. Event Grid, I like the name of that. That sounds fantastic. And then Data Factory. Oof, Data Factory could really do it too, though. That's got a real-time event ingestion sort of feel to it. Okay, Data Factory. I think it's really between Data Factory and Stream Analytics. I'm starting to second guess that Stream Analytics, though. It feels like that's almost too obvious of a name and that you're playing me here. So I got to go with 4, Azure Data Factory.
And
Oh, no.
it
Was it
is
Stream
Stream Analytics.
Analytics? Dang
Yeah.
it. Yeah, I mean, why would they name it something so clearly what it does? That seems like a very anti-cloud naming thing.
Spoken like a true AWS guy, let me tell you, man.
Well, you sit there and after you deal with a lot of these services, you either get names that are incredibly boring and a little too obvious, or
Yeah.
you get names that make no sense whatsoever as far as what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I've never understood Azure's naming. So here we go.
Azure's naming's pretty anti weird creative stuff, right? It's kind of you get what you get what you pay for. Or you get what you see,
Yeah, I suppose. So, okay. So I got my unique garlic. This is the hot one. This is the one
Unique
that
garlic.
kills me. So,
Yeah. Nice. So while you're munching there, Azure Data Factory is more of like a declarative ETL service, right? So point A to point B, data transformations, stuff. Oh, you okay there, man? The garlic gotcha.
yeah, I tell you, when it gets to the back of the throat, it definitely. Okay. So ETL thing.
Yeah, I feel bad. Like, oh man, yeah, it's more of an ETL thing, and then Event Hub is is all about ingestion, no analytics, and Event Grid is probably like Event Bridge, which it's more like a event routing mechanism where it can do fan out and stuff like
Okay.
that. Feeling the burn, man. I'm gonna have to get me some of that. What is it? Garlic Boutique? What is it?
Unique garlic.
Unique garlic. Yeah.
That's good stuff. Okay. Okay. Question number 8. Event Bridge durable delivery events are guaranteed to deliver once to a rule target. True or false?
I don't know. I'm keying off of durable and guaranteed. I'm assuming you didn't really shed much light on what Event Bridge was when I think I got that answer wrong and previously, because I went with Amazon MQ, but it sounded like Event Bridge was almost like Event Grid, which Event Grid's more of a routing, event routing thing. So it's delivering events, fan out, and a rule target sounds like potential, basically subscribers to these events.
Everything you're saying makes a lot of sense to me right now.
And I'm just like, and with I'm kind of correlating the Azure, like with Event Grid, like there is a certain time where Event Grid will retry, to publish the event to a subscriber. And if it fails, eventually it's going to go to a dead letter queue. And if you don't set up a dead letter queue, it goes into the ether and you never see it again. So, but that's why this durable thing makes me think that there's some guarantee that it's not going to a non-existent dead letter queue and off to the ether. So I'm going to go with true. Sorry if I'm thinking out loud a lot. I think
no, that's perfect. You should be thinking out loud as much as possible. That's what makes this fun.
So I think that Event Bridge durable delivery events are guaranteed to deliver at least once to a rule target.
All right. No, false.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
it's actually a guaranteed 1+ delivery. You might actually get more than once.
Okay.
Yep.
1+, man.
Yeah, and fun fact: if Event Bridge can deliver events to certain targets, but not in a durable fashion. And they just basically say in the docs, like, "Too bad, we just don't deliver you the message." They say it's rare, but I've seen some kind of times that it, at least as far as the 1+ delivery goes, it'll definitely deliver more than once. So there's a couple of services that when they say hardened and guaranteed delivery, it's a 1+ delivery. So you got to watch out for those.
I like this C and double. It's kind of tangy.
Yeah. But yeah, this unique garlic is it's something.
I'm definitely. I'm getting a little, the fluids are moving.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Definitely a good wake-up call for the morning. Okay. You're up.
Okay. Question 8. What is the primary purpose of an Azure policy initiative? Is it A, to define a single policy for resource compliance? B, to enforce tags on all Azure resources? C, to group multiple policies into a single unit for easier management and assignment? Or D, to automate remediation tasks for non-compliant resources? Dun, dun, dun.
Okay, so a policy initiative, that really means that feels like it's something that takes an action, that actually does something. So defining a single policy for resource compliance, feels like it could be a hard thing to get done properly. Enforce tags. Who cares about enforcing tags? No one ever cares about that. Group multiple policies into a single user. Sure, but that just feels like a feature, not necessarily an initiative. I'm going to go with the number 4, to automate remediation tasks for non-compliant resources.
And it is actually C, to group multiple policies into a single unit for easier management assignment. A policy initiative is a grouping of policies individually. And so that lets you bundle them up and assign them to different Azure topology levels.
Okay.
Sorry, man. You got some more garlic in your future. Yes.
Okay. All right, final questions.
Oh no. Is this the last one? Yep, it
This is
is.
the last questions. We are currently tied 5-5. So if either one of us answers either of these questions correctly, we win. So, all right. This is a question, as it's the last question, I tried to make it the hardest one.
Oh God.
I think I know a couple of AWS DynamoDB experts who might not be able to answer this one. So, which hashing algorithm does DynamoDB use to generate a shard key for placing items on different physical nodes? 1, SHA-2, 2, MD5, 3, Blake 2, or 4, they use a proprietary hashing algorithm.
Wow. This is quite brain buster.
It wouldn't be fun if it was easy.
I'm sure the audience is just screaming at me right now. I wish I could just like ask ChatGPT.
I was realizing that this would probably be an easy thing. You could have ChatGPT off to the side if it wasn't for that really clickety keyboard and mouse that you've got.
Oh yeah,
I
don't have it with me. I could be like,
yeah, there you go.
I don't bring that with me down here. Generate a shard key for placing. So it's on different physical nodes. I feel like that's a red herring. Like it seems like it would use the same hashing algorithm no matter what.
So let me throw you a little bit of a helper here.
Oh,
Come on.
No helpers. What?
Well, so just a little explanation. So DynamoDB uses it's effectively a key value store.
Yeah.
And one of them is one of the things you do is the partition key. It's part of the key.
Yeah.
It uses that partition key to figure out which physical node to separate the data onto. So all records you put into DynamoDB that share the same partition key will all be on the same physical node, which means that when you go to query them, and you say, I want everything with this partition key, you might get back multiple records. You get them back extremely fast because it only has to go to one place to get them. So when it takes that partition key, how does it generate a shard key to determine which node to put it on?
Yeah. Okay.
SHA-2, MD5, Blake 2, proprietary.
I feel like, now that you like took the time to walk me through that, this reminds me a lot of, so it's really about like the partition key, where we're storing these records. So I'm gonna go with proprietary. 4.
Proprietary. Number 4. Final answer?
Final answer.
No, I'm sorry. This is they use a standard MD5.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I'd never even heard of Blake 2 before I looked into this.
I never heard of Blake 2 either, but I thought like the SHA and MD5 were like too obvious, and like it was like, and honestly, it's like that MySQL versus Postgres. I'm like, if you put both of them out there, like it must not be those two. I don't know.
Hey, why reinvent the wheel if you don't have to?
Yeah.
All right. Final question on the Azure side.
Okay. What is not an Azure RBAC boundary? Subscription, resource group, management group, organization, or Entra ID tenant?
Okay. So I figure subscription, resource group, and Entra ID tenant. If you hadn't told me earlier about the Entra ID, that would have been consideration too. But I think subscription, resource group, and Entra ID, I think are pretty obvious ones. But I don't know about the management group in the organization. Unique garlic really gets you. I wonder, is there a Scoville rating on this thing?
Oh yeah, does it say that on there?
Serving size is 1 teaspoon. I think that's a little generous. They do not have a Scoville rating. I'll have to look it up.
They have it on their website. They for sure do.
Yeah. Okay. So management group and organization. So I don't know what so not knowing if there's a management group in Azure and not knowing if there's an organization in Azure. I have to assume that there isn't as enough of a difference between a management group and a resource group. Oh, you got organization too, which feels kind of like a subscription. I'm gonna have to go with 4. Organization is not an RBAC boundary.
You are correct.
Yes.
That it is not an RBAC boundary. It actually doesn't exist. There's no such thing as
Okay.
in Azure.
So what's the difference between a resource group and a management group then?
Well, a management group is basically kind of like the similar thing to AWS organizations. It's a way of grouping subscriptions together in a management group hierarchy. Right? So,
Okay.
in the same way that AWS organizations has an organization hierarchy that you can link accounts under, that's the same function that management groups have within Azure. So,
Why did I do that? I dripped some of this on my desk, and I don't know why I just looked that up. Well, getting that answer right might have just saved my life. So, okay,
congratulations, you stand victorious, my friend.
just barely. It's very, very close. Very good.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I was about to drink, the fermented kimchi, my water. I'm like, bad idea.
Well, thank you very much, Mark. I really appreciate you coming on and doing this with me. This was a lot of fun. I had a really great time. So I know that you were at HashiCorp, the
HashiCon.
conference, HashiCon lately. How was that?
Oh, it was a great time. Just a lot of energy, a lot of activity. Um, I had a book signing there, which was pretty humbling experience. Like,
Yeah.
wow, that was pretty fun.
Congratulations on the book, by the way. I hear it's doing very well.
Thanks. Yeah, I hope people find it useful. It was a labor of love. Let me tell you, my wife and kid are like, no more books. Never write another book.
Yeah.
A lot of nights and weekends, but yeah, it's pretty fun. Um,
Good.
but yeah, really excited about like the Terraform stacks. Like being able to move beyond an individual root module, so you can kind of create multi layers of infrastructure and kind of tie them together without all the glue and plumbing that you used to have to do manually using Bash and stuff like that. So
No.
that's really maturing. Of course, I'm more interested in HashiCorp stuff on like the infrastructure lifecycle management side,
Yeah.
because that's like as an app developer, that's kind of I'm all about finding homes for my apps. So
Very cool. So,
yeah.
what have you been playing around with and learning lately?
Well, I've been doing a lot of work with an upcoming Udemy course. So I'm working on a Terraform Udemy course.
So, a
Uh,
book wasn't enough for you. You had to go and do a Udemy course as well.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm working on. The nice thing about that is I don't have deadlines like from my publisher, so
Oh,
I can kind of work on my own pace, which is pretty nice.
yeah.
But yeah, no, I have been working a lot with like Azure Cognitive services, working with speech to text and with OpenAI, and kind of playing around with different ways of mashing up those services together. So that's been kind of my app dev, fun, like just like exploring new services and things like that. And yeah, it's really incredible the amount of tools. I'm sure AWS, has like similar like explosion of AI and like kind of intelligent services that let you do things that were unimaginable like a decade ago. But
Yeah. So yeah, AWS is going to probably be announcing a lot of Gen AI stuff at reInvent that's coming up the first week of December, and they've been going hard and heavy onto Gen AI, and hopefully they've got some interesting products that they'll be announcing at it, along with hopefully just a lot of other good non-Gen AI products. There's still a lot of gaps to fill. I got really jealous when you sat there and said that Cosmo DB was a multi-region. Is that multi-region active? Is that right?
oh yeah,
Yeah. I would really like to see something like that on the AWS side. It's something that's sorely needed. The multi-region support is a little lacking still. So kind of
Mm,
jealous that AWS has or Azure has that.
yeah. Cosmos. I mean, once you start using Cosmos, it's like wow. I mean, it's such a power tool. Like yeah, doing multi-region active make the easy button, for that. It's like, yeah,
All
it's
right.
it's a game changer. So.
All right. Well, thank you again for joining me today on this. For everyone out there watching, if you enjoyed this, if you thought it was fun, if you would like to see more of this, hit that like and subscribe button, add in some comments on any sort of topics and anything. Yeah, showing off, we got our Mr. What was the Chairman Meows? We've got
Chairman Meows and
Unique Garlic. We'll provide links to this as well as Mark's book in the description of the video. And we will see you next time. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks.
Take care, man. Have fun at reInvent.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
See you, man. Bye.
Later.